Good time zone, everyone. Thank you once again for coming by. I felt like it was time for a change of pace, so for this stream, it's a nature side narration. Before I get into part 5, though, there's something I need to say first. Last week, Agro Squirrel hosted my content on his channel, and I have been able to see my channel explode with so many new people and waves of positive feedback. Agro, I want to take this chance to thank you so much. And thank you as well to all of you amazing listeners who came by. For a novice writer and even more novice narrator like me to get so much positive feedback over this past week really means a lot to me. I'll be doing my best to get out a chapter a week, but I'm going to ask for everyone's understanding as I both study full-time, work part-time, and am growing my Twitch streaming platform alongside YouTube. At the absolute worst, I'll make sure that I get out a part every 2 weeks. I hope you guys don't mind the wait too much. With that out of the way, let's get to what all you amazing people are here for. Tales of the Ambassador, Part 5. The alien ambassadors were a curious bunch. Cat lady, lizard man, bird person, and a big old Cthulhu-looking thing. Everyone but the lizard man was towering around 10 feet tall. The lizard folk averaged around 7.5 feet tall. They were all dressed in a fine uniform of dark purple, black lining. A slight shimmer betrayed their personal environment shields, but you'd have to look for it to notice. The Cthulhu guy was looking at me strangely, or at least I suspected he was. Not like I knew his expressions after all. With a professional smile that hid my first contact jitters, I went to greet them. Welcome to your new embassy. The name's Thomas Moriarty. Please, call me Tom. The cat lady, High Mother Mickery, stepped forward and crossed her hands over her chest, retracting her claws as she did. I am High Mother and Administrative Ambassador Mickery of the City. These are my associates and fellow ambassadors, our technological representative Tyr of the Kuth, our cultural representative Yigrak of the Olivali, and our military representative Neva of the Halaki, she said, gesturing first to Cthulhian and the Birdman, and the Lizardman warrior last. To have a representative from each of the elder four. We are honored, I replied, hiding my amusement at the slight twitch of her ears and tail. Mickery brings her hands down and raises her eyebrows at me. Do you not have a title? The Admiral implied that you are a person of some influence. Never really felt quite right going by my titles, but I have a few. I am in our Federation's head of technological research and intersolar development. I'm a doctor in cybernetic engineering. I'm a retired captain of the Federation Navy and veteran of the Reconciliation Wars. And my personal pride, the 20th running best coffee brewer of Atlas Station. There was a clear pause of confusion in the alien party. Tyr spoke first. Forgive me, but when your admiral spoke of you, I expected a fellow ambassador, not a researcher and ex-warrior. I couldn't help but smile. I can imagine, but I'm probably better suited than a typical ambassador to help you understand us humans. Rather than someone specialized in only diplomacy and administration, I have knowledge of most of our history, cultures, languages, morals, ethics, technology, ambitions, and most importantly, our capabilities. Also, as head of technology and intersolar construction, I am the most likely to understand the scope of our discussions. The aliens nodded in understanding, a gesture that turned out to be nearly universal among sapients. Handy that. There'll be plenty of time to talk politics and diplomacy once you and yours are settled into. May I give you the tour? Please do, Mickery said. The embassy is broken up into several sections: housing, fit rec room, laboratory and maintenance, food and entertainment, and the cargo bay, along with the diplomacy room and communications bridge, of course. Housing, fit rec, and cargo, however, take up 70% of the station. But even with the aliens having more escort ships than we'd expected, their fighters and lizardmen pilots were smaller than expected, and the land and bay had room to spare. Since everyone but Tyr, Mickery, and Yigrak were Halaki, there would still be ample space for all to live and work in comfort. Considering we had no real way of knowing how many they'd bring, that was fortunate. Barring a few questions from Yigrak about the art we put up to decorate the walls, and Nerva watching me the whole time like any second I was going to pull a gun on him, the tour went without much conversation or incident. Their arrival had come in just in time to deny me breakfast, so after I finished the tour, I intended to leave them to move in peace while I got some food in me. But Tyr caught me as I was leaving.
Would it be all right if I joined you?
Tyr was their technology expert, and of all the alien ambassadors, I was looking forward to talking to him the most. Besides, I needed to get used to his appearance as fast as possible. It's your home now, Tyr. You can go wherever you want. If you want to join me, feel free. I'm just going to get me some lunch and coffee, though.
My gratitude. Then give me a moment to direct my things, and I shall follow you. The humans. Just what kind of sapiens are they? Most of the first contact fiascos could easily be explained by the humans discovering our reconnaissance drone, but how have they already made a station large enough to accommodate our species so soon? Humans didn't even seem to be as large as the Halaki, who were one of the smallest sapiens of the Alliance. I couldn't find a single sign that this station was retrofitted either. So they had somehow found our drone, cracked its shield, translated the language, organized our information, and had built an embassy for us in the time it took between the drone's arrival and ours. It wasn't like that production speed was unheard of in the larger alliance, but for a sapien so new to space, it was unnerving. It wasn't only that the station had been designed to fit the larger end of galactic sapiens either. The humans had gone through great lengths to accommodate us. The station's gravity had been preset to Alliance standard. The dining halls had utensils designed to accommodate our varied appendages. Even certain Alliance aesthetics and fashions were incorporated into the decor. A great deal of thought and effort had been put into this station. It was a flattering gesture on the humans' part. After the tour had come to an end, High Mother Mikri and the rest of the delegation went and began transferring their work articles into their respective offices. We'd be leaving our sentimental articles on board in the case a sudden evacuation is required, but everything else was being moved in. Human liaison Thomas's mind was something unique. Perhaps I had simply spent too long among the Thaknarks, but even the residual psychic aura that escaped him was complex and heavy. It felt like looking at a nebula storm, swirling, dense, dangerous, and beautiful. It had been hard to focus on the tour instead of him. When Tom mentioned that he was going to grab a meal, I decided to delegate my move-in to one of the Halaki warriors and join him. I was curious about what the humans ate, of course, but I was even more curious about the human himself. When we arrived at the dining hall, Thomas turned to me, raising what the translator said was a quizzical eyebrow. Can you even eat human food? The station's stocked with a little of everything right now, but we still don't know if it's compatible with your biology. We humans are omnivores, you see, so we're hoping that there'll at least be something you can eat. Our AI should be done going over the data you sent us regarding your biologies and eating habits. Let me look at the summary. Deathworlders, as a general rule, had diets that would kill or disgust most Alliance members. Disgust because herbivores form the vast majority of sapiens, and kill because the toxin tolerance of Deathworlders means that there have been countless incidents of what, say, a Halaki would consider a casual dose of caffeine being enough to nearly kill a member of the Galactic Standard. Taking a look at the related data, capable of toxic levels of consumption for caffeine, potassium, sodium. Their spice tolerance is way above standard. Wait, ethanol? Pardon me, but just to clarify what I'm reading, humans actually consume ethanol. It says here that it's a common practice amongst your kind. Well, when we have it prepared for drinking, we call it alcohol. But yeah, it has its root in being able to safely drink water back before we were aware of microbes. But it's a pretty big part of human culture. But ethanol, or alcohol, is registered as a poison for your biology. I know of only 3 sapiens in recorded history that have a biology where ethanol isn't toxic to their life functions. You'd be surprised what kind of things we humans are willing to put in our bodies. But unless you want to have a long talk about the insanity of the human diet, you might want to focus on the topic at hand. Is there anything we got that you can eat? I could already see myself losing sleep in exchange for satiating my curiosity regarding the human diet tonight. But I did as requested and focused back on the log of food stored and compared it with our own diet information. I punched in a few commands and the compatible foods were highlighted and categorized. Yes, you are correct. It appears we can eat most of your leafy greens and several of your tuber vegetables. The halakhi are compatible with almost everything here. Caffeine is a popular product, consumable to most sapiens, but non-death warders like myself need it diluted to almost 100th of your standard potency.
Well, that's a relief. We were worried that there wouldn't be anything edible for you lot. In that case, feel free to pick out what you want from the menu. It's translated to Galactic Standard, of course.
Tom seemed to be in a good enough mood. I decided to risk asking him the question that had been on my mind the most today. Human Tom, how is it that you have already incorporated so much of our information into the station? I understand from our scans upon arriving here that your species utilizes artificial intelligence, but this level of incorporation, and at these speeds, it's unprecedented for a culture as young as yours.
Oh, that? Well, that's related to why we are more or less willing to forgive your alliance spying on us. Normally this would be classified, but it's one of the things I've been clear to share as a gesture of goodwill. We've reverse engineered your technology by allowing our AIs to learn from your drone's AI code. Once our AIs caught up with yours, it's been a simple matter to uncover the core principles of all the drone's tech and incorporate it into our own. With the help of our AIs, we're already learning to understand the formulas and principles decades ahead of where we were. As for how we managed to build the station so quickly, it wasn't long ago that our species was in a desperate fight for our own survival. We overcame it like we'd done everything else, adapting to the strife and accelerating our skills to accommodate. Compared to craft and colony platforms, solving the mountain of issues involved with moving people off-world into those colonies, and expand the process to get enough people off-world fast enough to avoid a second social uprising on Earth, making a station this large in time was child's play.
Social uprising in colonies? I replied.
There's no need hiding it. We know your drone already sent you the scan of our system.
In truth, there hadn't yet been the opportunity for me to look into the total population number of human stations, or even the type of stations up to this point. It was possible Nerva had looked into that information, but my duties had required me to be focused elsewhere. I was going to look over the in-depth briefing when I got back into my quarters. For now, I activated my wrist processor and turned the briefing to the relevant topic. I could hardly believe my optics. That's not...
Oh? I guess you haven't seen it yet, Tom said,
a smile forming on his face. 13 colony-grade stations, each carrying several million life signs. 39 more already under construction. There were nearly 100 massive foundries based in the inner asteroid belt of their system, constantly sending resources back to the inner core. The colony stations were large enough to allow rotational gravity to be utilized without causing disorientation for their inhabitants. All appeared to be self-sufficient and were located in an ideal orbit around the local star. The ship traffic alone could have held up to a moderate industrial center by galactic standards. It's insane. To devote such resources with this level of technology, to do this much, even if your kind are Death Worlders, there must have been countless people that suffered to let you advance this quickly. You would have had to experiment with means beyond your understanding to have even had a chance at getting this far. With an expression that suddenly made my spine shiver and blood run cold, Tom took a long sip of his coffee and looked me in the eyes.
Like the Admiral said, welcome to Sol.
And that is it for this chapter. As always, thank you again for popping by. If you did enjoy it, please feel free to drop a like, and if you want to have the fastest update for the next chapter's release, please subscribe. And with that, as always, stay awesome and have an amazing day.